Well, good afternoon, College of Eastern Idaho, and I am hoping that we have some guests on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. We're very excited about this presentation today. The college for 2 years has been thinking about future tech, so this energy innovation technology building, and have been working very diligently toward that. And it is beginning to take shape, wonderful shape, as a matter of fact. And I think all of you know Anne Marie Peters, Director Peters, and she has been with us really from the beginning of the college, but has been working diligently as well on this. So we're going to spend about 45 minutes with Anne Marie, but most importantly, we want to demonstrate to you and show you what work we have been doing with our architects as we begin to vision into the future for future tech. And you're going to be seeing more and more of this document. This is a 154-page document that we've received from our architects, and it is describing what they have heard from us as we think about an innovation building. Anne Marie, welcome. It is so wonderful to have you today.
Thank you, Dr. Aman. I'm so happy to be here, and this is my second time on the forum, so I'm very excited to have a second chance to be having a conversation with you.
Well, this is a great time for a conversation as well. This is the last Friday of spring semester. We
Yes.
have successfully navigated COVID and a whole litany of things. So May 7th, and I am excited for what you're going to bring to the college. Not everybody's had a chance to see this. So why don't we just open up with you describing maybe a tiny bit of your background. I think most people know you, but let's do it for our guests. And then let's just dive right in to what the architects have designed for us so far.
Absolutely. So I am originally from Chicago, and I've done a lot of interesting things in my career. I spent about 18 years with an international bank doing all kinds of different work for them. And then I actually opened my own business with some other women in Chicago called Interview Savvy, where we were helping out university and college students learning how to get their foot in the door for their first career. And my husband Mark and I have 3 beautiful kids. They're all getting kind of grown up now, and we're very proud of all of them. And I have to say, with my many jobs that I've had over the years, I often have to tell you, Dr. Aman, that I had to come to Idaho to get my favorite job I've ever had. And that's saying a lot. I've had some really great and interesting jobs, but I love working with everybody at this college.
Well, Anne Marie, you know, when we first met, we didn't have a real job. But sometimes you meet people who really get what it is we're trying to do. So we had to make up a job for you, and this is it.
It's worked out.
It has worked out wonderfully.
Yeah. You only good and no evil, and that was pretty much my direction.
That was I kind of asked that of you, and so far it's been true.
I just ran with that, so it's working out.
It is.
So a little bit maybe of history, if you think that's a good idea on the building.
Yes.
We'll start there. Some people who are watching this probably know this, but many don't. So this started as a conversation a few years ago with our business, what was then Business Office and Technology division, and really a conversation about trying to get the cyber folks and computer network technology and some other groups all in one building. They were kind of spread around campus. And so that was where this started. And we really started talking about a much, much smaller technology building. And as we started diving into the labor statistics and the demands that were coming to the area, we quickly realized that this needed to be much bigger than just a technology building. So we started talking about it in terms of energy, environment, and technology. Even at that point, which was a few years ago, we knew that there was going to be a demand for over 3,000 jobs, technician jobs, just here in Eastern Idaho. And that was without the energy component, because those jobs were relatively new enough that our labor department wasn't even really able to project the numbers of those jobs. Now, everyone knows since that time, there's been a lot of movement in terms of projects that have been awarded, lots of people moving into this area. So that number has only grown. So we're really excited that even that we got started at that point with this conversation. So it was just about 2 years ago that President Aman and I visited with the governor and threw out this idea of future tech and a much bigger building, career technical education building focus. And he liked the idea. And so we started proceeding with just talking to people in the community and talking with everybody here on campus and what this needed to be. And I'm very happy to say that this has evolved, I think, very quickly. We were able to get design and planning money from a combination of the state of Idaho with a match from the Economic Development Administration. So that got us $2.4 million. We really just secured that in December of 2020. So really just when you think about it, it's amazing. We just secured that a little more than 4 months ago. And we were able to take that funding and hire an architect team. So we have LCA, Lombard Conrad, out of Boise, and then we have OPSIS, who has partnered with them. They are in education. They're education experts in architecture. And our own Northwind are the engineers on this project. We started working with them in just at the beginning of March. So went through the process of getting them hired through an RFQ process, and that beginning has gone very quickly, and that's why we're here today to talk about the fantastic progress that we made and where we are now. So at the rate that we're going, and when I say we, I mean not only CEI but our architect team and our and now our newly hired CMGC, construction manager, general contractor, who will be joining us beginning next week, and that is Anderson Construction. So when I say we are anticipating these dates, that means everybody's on board at this point. So what we are planning is to have the design done up through schematic design by the late fall of this year, and hopefully to start doing site work in the late fall. And then we will have the full set of plans and be able to start actual construction on the building, not just what would be the site prep work, but the actual building in February or March of next year. And what all of that leads to is a very important date, which is fall of 2023. So we want these doors to be open so that we can get students started on this great education opportunity in this fabulous state-of-the-art building and all of the amazing equipment and collaboration space that will be in there. So, all those jobs are coming, and we need to make sure that we have Idahoans that are ready to get those jobs and make those great wages.
So, Anne-Marie, that's a great summary. And I mentioned to you, I know OPSIS actually from my Oregon days, Portland Community College, and they have a great, significant background in educational space. And let me just mention, as we get ready to begin to show some of this off, that several of us got a chance to go to Montana State and see it's called the Norm building up there. And it's a engineering, technology, innovation building. And we're going to see a lot of interesting aspects of our future tech embedded in that. And then you and I and several of us got a chance 2 or 3 weeks ago to go to the Salt Lake area and look at some technology buildings there. So it makes such a difference to walk through a building and see those things that are impressive and that we like. And I'll make one other comment from the trip to the Norm building. As we went through that, and it can't be more than 2 years old, the dean that was at the beginning, kind of this stage where you're envisioning the purpose of a building, really was clear. Everything they did in that building was student focused. And I think as our viewers get a chance to go through this building and get a fly through from you, they will see that that is true here. Really limited number of office spaces, and those are going to be spaces that really will be those teaching faculty in that building. But every aspect of this building that we could is aimed at that mission of teaching and learning, providing skills, and exactly like you described, preparing Idahoans for the kind of jobs that we know are coming to Eastern Idaho.
Exactly. And it's been a real privilege to be able to see some of those other great buildings, both in Utah and Montana. And there are many of us who have also seen great buildings here in Idaho as well. We all, a group of us, it was probably a year ago that we went to see the building at CSI, and some of us have seen the North Idaho College building. So we've been doing a lot of research. And I think one of the most important things to point out with that is that, we are not at all shy to say we don't know everything, and we want to see some of these things. Luckily, we have phenomenal architects who have been guiding us.
Yes.
One of the purposes of this presentation and the several others that I've been doing last week and this upcoming week is to be sure that students, faculty, staff, our community members, everyone who wants to have a look at this building and see where we are gets the opportunity to do that. And importantly, that if they have an idea or a thought, now's the time to tell us, because this is called the programming phase, and that part is coming to a close here. So we've done a lot of work to get all the programs in place, to get the classrooms in place, etc. All of that at this point is still written in pencil, let's say. But starting in the next couple of weeks, we'll start turning a corner to schematic design. And that's when this starts really to be more difficult to change. And so I'm really excited to hear any feedback that anybody has, and they should feel free to email Amanda. She's going to collect up any questions or comments, and we'll make sure and get those over to the architects as well. So please do that.
Okay, Anne-Marie, shall we delve into the building?
Let's do that. So the first thing that I'm going to show you here is the whiteboard that is used by the architect team. So are you able to see that now?
We are. Looks good.
Super. So this kind of looks like some sort of crazy compilation of who knows what, right? But what this really is a history, and that's that 151-page document that you mentioned that is documenting all of this. This is all work that the committee has done and that the architects have done in putting together this plan. So you can see there's a combination of pictures, there's a combination of sites. So just starting from the beginning of this process, at the beginning of March, we had our first workshop. And that workshop was with just our executive team. And the architects, the purpose was they wanted to get a good feel for the culture at CEI and the vision of the executive team for what this building was going to do, the programs that would be in this building, and starting to think about what it might look like. And so we spent a whole day just talking about that. And then we started literally just taking tiles. Green was conference space, orange is classroom space, yellow is collaboration space, blue are field testing labs. We started literally laying this out on a map of CEI. So you can see here, this is the edge of building 5. So here's some of that parking and the greenhouse. So Future Tech will be in that space. So it will start to connect this healthcare building and building 5. Keep in mind, this is still all CEI property. So we are using the property that we already have that's south of the canal. So it was exciting to start to see this layout come together. And that was where we ended the first workshop. And where we started the second workshop was with those tiles and more of a real, on paper and more of a diagram. And at this point, we, for the second workshop, we brought in everyone who we think will be a stakeholder in this building. So everyone from, of course, our faculty and our deans, our executive team, but also, our maintenance team. We asked our caterers for their input. We brought in subject matter experts that would be able to give us their advice on areas that we don't have expertise in. So for instance, someone who had experience with conference space and had built a conference space and had been living in it to find out, what do you like? What don't you like? And that was true of cyber programs and a number of other programs as well. So the second workshop, you can start to see this taking shape. And I want to point out here that it's nice how they had thought about this 90-degree angle. And this is really intentional to start bringing this healthcare building to be part of this campus. Right now, it kind of veers off this way and seems like it's kind of off by itself. This is going to start to bring it all together. You can see here a circle. We've talked a lot about access. We've talked a lot about parking. You can see parking up here. We've talked a lot about the light and how short this is and all of the rest of the parking on campus. I just want people to be aware that that is something that we haven't solved yet, but that we are working on every step of the way, because we know we want to make sure that this building, this beautiful building that we build, is able to be accessed efficiently, especially when we're having big conferences or, where our college gets bigger. So that's really important. So what you'll see here is the conversation from that second workshop. And all of these yellow sticky notes represent someone's ideas. So this is the second floor, and these pictures are actually pictures that Rick and Lori and Angela and Betsy took in Montana that they wanted for consideration. And it's been very, very helpful to have those. So the architects put those on live. They added some equipment that we thought would be a good idea. We were live changing some of the space and where things might go. All of these yellow notes are notes that someone said. Someone said, hey, what we should think about this, or hey, what about that? And they're capturing all of that as we go along. I love to always point out the Swiss Army knife. This is Rick's contribution. He's had many contributions, but this was one that we will definitely stick with. And that is to make sure that this building is a bit of a Swiss Army knife. We all know that we haven't had a new building in 14 years. And chances are we're not going to build another big building like this in the near future. So we want to make sure that this takes care of all of the things that we need here on campus. One of the things everyone is aware of is that we don't have meeting space. So we have put in this large conference center that should seat about 300 people, so we can have in-service and student gatherings and also offer that to the community. Excuse me. And then there's more conference space across here. And I'll actually go into the specifics of the spaces in just a minute when we go to the clean copy, which is the latest copy. So you can see the conversation in the afternoon had even more notes and more pictures. And so it's really exciting to see all of this come together. And I want to point something out to one of your points that you made earlier, Rick, that we are making sure this is a student-centered building. Originally, there was all of this faculty space and all of this faculty space. You're going to see in the next, kind of the last iteration, that has shrunk because we are we're wanting to make sure that we use as much space as possible for student activities and student learning. So that has all come together, and that document, as I mentioned, really pulls together all of the conversations that took place during this process. And then here's basically where we are at this point. And it's important to remember that this is still a fluid document. So this is still a living document, and things are happening and changing. So There's actually a cleaner copy now, even since this iteration without the yellow stickies, but this shows you that even with this last one, we were still making changes and talking about various options. So when you walk through the front door, there's all of these green spaces are going to be what we call collaboration or common space for students and faculty. And you walk in here and you have this tiered classroom. So that'll be about 100 seats for students. We're calling it the tiered classroom, but I think we are aiming toward having the furniture cause the tiering rather than actual steps built in, so that we can keep that space flexible. That's really the theme of this building, and that Swiss Army knife is a great way to describe it. We want this building to be ever ready to change and to be able to be a lot of different things, because if there's anything we know for sure about the future of technology, it's that it will change and that we can't even imagine where it's going to be in 5 years. And so we want to make sure that we're giving ourselves the option to be as flexible as possible, not only with this physical space, but also with our curriculum. So you can see here on the first floor, there's a virtual reality lab. There's some space back here that would be more mechanical. We've got the supercomputer here, so you'll see that when we do the fly-through. This is a mother's room here, and then there's bathrooms, of course. You have to have all of that space too. These two labs are noted as future flex labs. Most likely we will start out with battery and solar in those labs. This is S-Tech. S-Tech is getting a nice big new space, which is fabulous. I think we're gonna be able to do a lot of really interesting new programs and collaborations with that. And then we've got cyber down here. We've got the SOC here. That's another area that will be able to be viewed. This was what we were calling a makerspace lab. We've actually changed this to a classroom. And then this part right here is going to be, we'll call it a cafe. So not someplace where you're gonna have a menu, but essentially like food to go, coffee, soda, those kinds of things, which we feel will be great because it will be able to be accessed from students from this side of campus. And by the way, this building is for all students. It's not just for students in these programs, and it's for the community too. We are the community college, so we're building this with the idea that our community should be able to in this building too. These are the field testing labs. We will have engineering technicians in these labs. We're going to have machine tool and advanced manufacturing, and then what we are calling this makerspace will be over here, and we're calling it Entrepreneur Alley, I believe, is the latest name that we have for that. And really the idea is that this would be a place that we would be able to have any student who wants to come and make a prototype of something be able to come there and use the equipment. And now I'm going to get us to the second floor. And you have to remember, I am not the architect, but I'm doing my best with their software. So the second floor was much like what I had said before. We'll have this beautiful conference space. There's actually going to be a second-story exterior deck that will be accessible to students. It's going to be beautiful. Have some beautiful views out here to the mountains. We'll have additional conference room space, which will be able to be opened so that we can use this in a flexible way. Also, in the future, if we need more classrooms or more lab space, guess what? These can also be that as well. We've got computer network technician up here, and then we have some what we're calling technology workforce lab, but this is actually going to be radiation safety, and we're pretty sure we're going to have agri-tech right here. We've also got a quiet study space. There's lots of great open space for people to meet and collaborate, but we want to make sure they have a quiet spot too. When we do the fly-through, you're going to see these bridges that go across, and these are like small study rooms that students will be able to reserve on the fly with a wireless reservation system. This here we actually took the wall out of because we felt that we needed to have another crossing here. So this will probably have couches or something where people can walk across without, veering around tables, etc. This area here is the big stairway that you probably saw some pictures of when we were looking at some of the pictures there on the side. This was something that Montana State really inspired. It's very common now in education and architecture to have this big stairway, but in reality, we thought it was going to be a terrible idea. But when everybody saw it at Montana State, it was so well used and so well loved that it became something that we thought would be a really, really great idea. So any questions from you, President Aman, before I show everybody the fly-through?
Well, I think you've done a wonderful job of walking through this. A couple of other observations. In a lot of the lab space, we're going to see floor-to-ceiling glass. And again, one of the things we loved in all of the buildings we walk through would be the ability for tours to walk through and see really interesting, cool things going on, whether it's a maker space or students gathering and collaborating. In particular, like you mentioned, the supercomputer and the secure operations center. Right. You know, you bring sixth graders through and there's a bunch of flashing lights behind the glass. Really, we hope that is going to inspire them into that kind of work. I really love the upstairs and how flexible we made that auditorium space. Yeah. And that we're thinking maybe 300. I think it's about 5,000 square feet, but close to 300 seats could be possible. And yes. A lot of flexibility with that. And you really, I think, nailed it with this idea. And we'll see the stairway in a moment. But I saw those on a couple of demonstrations from our architects, and I just thought, what a waste of space. Why not?
We agree.
Why not just put a nice stairway and an elevator and leave it at that? But I think you're going to see, and I saw firsthand, and there was nothing but compliments from Montana State that students, actually during the Mars landing, it was packed with students, and they were broadcasting live the rover coming down, and it was just really intriguing. So I would imagine that we could say that every single space in this building has at least two purposes. So I think we've done a very nice job of that. So Anne-Marie, what comes next? What do you want to demonstrate now?
Well, I would like to demonstrate I'm going to go to the fly-through, which is basically a 3D walkthrough of this building. And while I'm sharing my screen, I'll just say that, you and I agreed that was a waste of space. And told the architects we didn't want that. And then once we saw it in action, it's one of those things, one of many things that we determined was actually a great idea.
And I'll also, before you start this, mention watch for the sky bridges. And again, what a wonderful use of second-story vacant space. You just plain have to have that vacant space when you've got a hallway, but it's used in a very innovative way. They called this a crow's nest up in Montana State. So if you're set, go ahead and let's do the fly-through.
I am. We've got one message here that won't go away in front of the start button. So let me see if I can try to start that without it.
And then I want you to notice while Anne-Marie is doing this, a lot of thought has gone into the placement of this building. And as you can probably see, we're right across from the Walmart. So there is a nice roundabout, a lot of talk about ADA access, the ability to not get backed up when cars are coming in, whether they're dropping students off or participants off or parking. So a lot of thought has gone into this.
Definitely. And there's still conversations to be had. Of course, these are all things that are expensive and so they need to be thought through carefully. Maybe there's an opportunity to add an egress here. Maybe there's an opportunity to add one, I don't know, here. So these are things that we need to further study and get some help and advice on as our project moves forward. But rest assured that is being considered. So you can see just from this overhead shot, just to orient people, there's building 5, building 6, our healthcare building. This right now is that pedestrian walk, but this will actually be, it will continue to be a pedestrian walk, but it will be a fire service as well. So it'll have a dual purpose. So let's take a walk through. So we're coming down here to the front. So this is right off of Hitt Road. So we're gonna have a beautiful landmark building. This part faces the green space on our campus as it exists. You'll see these, I'm gonna pause here for a moment. On this is where those build labs are. So you can see that we have these large garage doors so that we can be moving equipment in and out of these spaces very easily. In addition, you can kind of peek through there and see a garage door through the center there. That is because we want all of these build labs to be able to collaborate with one another as well. And there might be times when there's a project that is being done collaboratively, we'll make 2 labs, 1 lab essentially.
And Anne Marie, as we did visit Montana State, there were a couple of vehicles, actually an airplane, as a matter of fact, in the first floor. So these garage doors become really important and a wonderful opportunity to bring vehicles in or large exhibits. So I think there's a lot of good thought that's gone into this.
Definitely. And this back part here, this is a work yard. You'll probably see a solar array there where students can access it. So here's that terrace that I was talking about. Probably not going to have a big yellow and blue logo, but we'll have something nice there. So I'm going to pause here. This is that section where those faculty offices are intended to be there at the front door. And you could see there was a little terrace up above as well. So as you come in, this is going to be really great space when students are between classes to have all of these different seating options, whether they need to be working by themselves or whether they want to work in a group or whether they're just eating or studying, whatever the case may be. There's going to be lots of choices there. And I want to point out here something that you mentioned earlier. We want to highlight the space that's interesting and will draw people into these technician jobs and classes. Of course, first it's classes before you go to your job. But one of the pieces of feedback that we got from one of our staff, Haley Mack actually, was, she suggested that we make sure that we didn't do all of our classrooms like this because there have been some high schools built recently where that's the case and the students feel a little bit like they're in a fishbowl. And we don't want that either. So there's going to be a nice combination of these visible areas, as well as you can see with these classrooms, when you come back around, you'll see there's doors and some glass, but they're primarily walled space to keep the distraction down. And we can also see here, these are those bridges, the study bridges, which is really nice. So when we come back around, you'll kind of see them from the open standpoint and see what they really look like. So these are some of the classrooms. You can see most of them are set up with computers already. And then we're coming back this way and heading back toward the conference room. So we're walking toward Hitt Road again. And as we go upstairs, you'll get a nice view of that second floor terrace. Rest assured, that is not reserved for when someone rents the conference center. This is going to be student space that students can use. This is our beautiful new conference center. So they've got some beautiful screens up there. That would be a portable stage.
And Anne, would you pause for a moment there?
I can even go back just a little bit.
Okay, that's fine. So the interesting thing too, we believe that we're going to be able to put dividers in that. So
yes.
it's one thing to have a 5,000 square foot auditorium, and it's another to be able to divide it into potentially 3 different classrooms. And again,
Right.
I think, and you can see that there are 3 LCD panels up there, and that's kind of the idea of everything you're seeing in this is multiple use, because we
Absolutely.
don't exactly know what the future will hold. Thank you for backing up.
Yes, of course, and yes, these are absolutely intended to be split into 3 separate rooms, and this is a portable stage, so this whole room could be just flat. And when we're talking about these screens, what I want you to keep in mind too is that while we can't fit every student on our campus in this conference room, we can have in-service in here, which will be a nice improvement for all of us on campus. But what we can do is synchronize all of these spaces. So when you could think about if there's a presentation going on here, let's say there's a speaker that's of interest to a lot of people on campus and in the community, that will be projected here. And it can also be projected out in that stairway space and in the other conference rooms, so that it really opens up the opportunity for lots of people to be in attendance. So this is one of those study rooms. They're not intended to be walled in. There are walled in study rooms, but these are intended to be more open, and these would be able to be reserved on the fly on a wireless system. We're coming here to where we took the wall out, so we have a cut through, so people don't have to go from one extreme or one side of the building to the other side of the building. And then as we come down the hall, see another couple of those study rooms. Some more great, oh, it's like it's buffering or something.
So while you're getting that back, well, I'll also mention, you touched on this, but Catered Your Way, we invited them in, and again, that conferencing space would have the opportunity to host dinners and those kind of things. So a lot of input from our from Catered Your Way, and they were very impressed with what the architects had thought about and had prepared, and the idea to be able to serve 200 guests in a format like that was important. And I think it really speaks to the idea of bringing a lot of our users in together and have them discuss what best practice would be in each of their areas of expertise.
Absolutely. And student presentations, super important. And as well as like the opportunity to have programs where we can show people what students have built and maybe have a robotics contest. I mean, there's all kinds of things. I'm going to share my screen again. I was just reloading that. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that it's decided to play for us now. So yeah, there's so many different options with this building. Okay, looks like we're back on. Let's keep our fingers crossed. We're coming back across here. We had already talked about some of these spaces, but I love, this was actually one of your ideas, Rick, to have these counters where people could sit with a laptop. Clearly they will have something to keep those laptops from going flying down. Now this is that stairway that we've talked a lot about. So there's stairs, and that's obviously the use of those, but this is a great place for people to just hang out and, do homework, read a book, study.
Who knows? We may have musicians someday.
Right. So that's the great thing. So here's that screen that we were talking about. I imagine that might actually be a little bit bigger. And then this is a great recessed area that slopes up here so that it's ADA accessible. Everything, of course, is ADA accessible, but it has lots of different levels for people to kind of choose where they're comfortable. So we're going to turn back around here and we'll be walking back toward that stairway. So all of this is just such nice space, and you know how much we need it here. We just don't have this kind of space for our students, and all students are going to be welcome in this building, as I said, not just the students who are taking classes. Over here in the corner, you can kind of see those build labs as well from the inside. This is where that cafe will be, is right over here on the left. So students can even go back out on the patio. We made sure that the patio is equipped with great electricity to be able to do performances. You can see we're going to have that opening there so we can have an indoor and outdoor event should we wish to. And now we're just flying back through campus. So very, very exciting, very exciting. And any other questions that you can think of that maybe you want to ask me that you think other people might be interested in?
Well, I think that roll-up door right at the end is so innovative. So we're actually able to use our green space, and right now it's used lightly, but it opens up so beautifully into the campus itself. One of the things that we had talked about and noticed up in Montana State, that a lot of students who weren't engineering students came in and just loved the space. We're going to have outlets all over because just that ability to recharge computers and cell phones and those kinds of things. So all of those make for a very functional building. Hey, Anne-Marie, if you would talk for a moment about those tracks across the top of the build labs. What are those going to be, and why are they? What are they going to be used for?
So one of the innovations since we built our labs many moons ago is that now there are these tracks that are available in these spaces that do run from end to end of the classroom. And with doing that, you'll have access to power and air pretty much anywhere. So it really gives you ultimate flexibility for moving things around in those build areas, in those field testing labs.
So the thing, and you alluded to it, but I want to amplify this again, to have, what do you think it was, 3 months, maybe not even that we began to work with our architects. So literally from the first day we met them, and we didn't know them before, but got a chance to meet them. In 3 months, we are this far along. And I think it's a testament to their ability to listen to us. We mentioned some things and they were polite. And as we got further, it became clear that those were bad ideas. So rather than right from the beginning say those are bad ideas, they let us discover they were. But they also helped us with the good ideas. And that's the advantage that you get when you're dealing with architects who have dealt extensively in education space.
Absolutely. And we're actually this is 2 months. 2
Yeah,
months.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
And we had a COVID interruption that we dealt with as well, if you may recall.
I do recall.
So I think it's really phenomenal work. And I think it's not only a testament to their commitment to the project and to listening and just being great partners with us, but also their commitment to the timeline. It's an aggressive timeline, but everybody understands that we need this building done so we can get people into those great jobs as quickly as possible. But I would say one more thing. It's the CEI team. It's everybody. We had, 15, 20 people from CEI on that committee. And I don't think there was one single person who didn't have some great idea to offer. And everybody spoke up and really that makes a huge difference in a project like this. So that is definitely a main reason for this accelerated result.
And we did a little bit of a preview about a week ago, and Mayor Casper literally was so impressed with this. She can easily envision what this is going to do for the region, and she's so excited about the workforce that would benefit from this continuing education. So not just our high school graduates or high school students or sixth graders who come through, but people who are mid-career that are ready to make a change in the direction they want to go. And for example, cybersecurity is going to continuously be changing, and we're going to be state of the art and be able to work with that. And a lot of this is going to be able to be pushed over IRN, Idaho Regional Optical Network. We can receive from Idaho National Lab state-of-the-art scientists and engineers, and be able to push our training, maybe do some esports with other colleges, BSU. Connectivity is going to be important in this building.
Definitely. We're very lucky to have iron. And, you brought up a great point. I don't think I've mentioned, we intend for about 1,000 students a year to be utilizing this building, between about half workforce training and about half students who are working on their AAS.
Right.
So, it's super exciting to think about that. And one of the other things that we've talked about extensively is how exciting for K-12 students to come through this building, how exciting for our community. But really, again, this is student-centric. This is for CEI students. And the great thing about being a community college is anyone can be a CEI student. And I really hope that when they walk in this building, this was something the mayor said about an experience she had with some students at an elementary school. And I sure hope this is true of our fabulous building, that when they walk in and they see how fabulous this building is, and the state-of-the-art equipment and classroom space and lecture space, that they're going to feel like, wow, I'm important, and I'm actually a very accomplished student, because here I am in this fabulous building, and it's for me. And
right.
that's the truth. It's for the students, and we're just so excited to open the doors and let everybody have a chance to come in.
I'm glad you brought that up with Mayor Casper, because I think that really is our vision for this building. These students are important to us, and this demonstrates that importance. So, Anne Marie, is there anything you'd like to close with?
No, I'll just say thank you for the opportunity. There's nothing I like to talk about more than CEI and future tech. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for the opportunity to do that. And I'll look forward to hearing any questions and feedback that may come from this presentation. And we'll continue to move forward and do our best to get this open in fall of 23.
And again, I'll mention that if any of you know donors, for example, or people who have legacy opportunities that really feel that this is an important element for them and for the region, Anne Marie and I would love to visit with them. So we just put that bug in your ear as we complete this. Yep. Anne Marie, thank you so much. Every time you do this, you get better at the presentation. So
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, everyone have a great weekend. So thanks for spending some time with us.